Hi. So I am certainly Delco born and raised. I spent my whole life here in Delaware County. I went to school from grade school, middle school, high school, all the way through college in Delaware County, and we'll get to that in about 5 minutes. And so my story takes place at Upper Darby High School, specifically my junior year when I went to take my SATs. Now, I am not a strong test taker, so I was very nervous when I went to take my SATs. So I scheduled my SATs at the same time that my really good friend in high school, Billy Joe, scheduled hers. So Billy Joe drove me to the SATs that day in her really awesome, really crappy sports car. But we thought it was really awesome because it had T-tops, and it was a cool sports car, and she had a license, and I didn't have one. So she was my best friend with the cool car, and she drove me to the SATs that day. And our plan was to, after the SATs, to go to the Granite Run Mall and spend some of our hard-earned part-time job cash on some clothes and jewelry. In fact, we had saved up quite a bit of cash. We had about $300 each we were going to go to the mall with after the SATs. So we went to the SATs, and the proctor was there to administer the exam, and their job is really to make sure you have a number 2 pencil, you have the right calculator, and you follow all the rules. So I was about 2 letters into my last name on the Scantron when BJ turned next to me and was like, "Jackie, did you lock the car door out there?" And I said, "No, I locked the car door." She said, "Well, we have our purses and like all of our money in the car, and we're going shopping afterwards. You just left it open?" I said, "Yeah, I didn't really think." And she said, "Well, you have to go lock the car door." And the proctor's like, "Shh, get to the test." And I'm like, "All right." So I'd start taking the test, and I'm doing awful. It's the math part. And I'm just sitting there panicking the whole time, like, "Oh my God, the car door is open. All our money's in there. BJ's mad. What am I going to do?" And I think about it, and I'm like, you know what? There's a break between the math and the verbal. And I'll just run out, and I'll lock the car door during the break. But I am somebody that's a stickler for the rules, and I didn't want to get in trouble. So I'm like, I'm going to go ask the proctor if I can go ahead and do this. So we get to the middle part of the exam. We have the break, and I say, "Can I please run out? I forgot. I left the car unlocked. My money's out there." And they said, "Yeah, that's fine. You just need to make sure that you get back before the test starts because those are the rules." I said, "Absolutely fine. Those are the rules. I'll run out and lock the car." So I ran out, looked in the back of the car, saw the purse, saw the money, awesome, locked the car, run in the back of the school to get in the school, grab the doors, pull the doors, and they're locked because it's Saturday and school's not open on a Saturday. And I start to panic, like really bad, like super panic. And I'm running back and forth. And I'm like, what do I do, what do I do? And I start to bang on the door. And I see a janitor, and I'm like, perfect, janitor. Janitor's gonna let me into school. And by this time, 5 minutes have gone past, 10 minutes have gone past. I'm sure the test has already started. BJ's probably wondering where I am. So I bang on the door and I say, "You gotta let me in. Hey, let me in, I'm taking the test." And the janitor's sort of looking at me, so I start to yell between the little crack in the door. And I'm like, I'm taking the exam on SATs, you gotta let me in. And she's looking at me, and she shakes her head no. And I'm like, no? I'm in the middle of the SATs. So I start to bang, like, pretty aggressively on the door, and I'm like, "You have to let me in, like, please, BJ's in there," and I'm yelling through the crack, like, "Please let me in, please let me in." And I bang once, I bang twice, and then I put my fist, both my fists, through the glass in the front door of Upper Darby High School. Both of them, shattered the glass, like, apparently I'm super, I'm not bleeding, I just put both my hands through the glass, and then I freeze, because I am not this student. I don't break rules, I don't get detention, and I don't punch the glass into my high school. And the janitor freezes. And we're both just staring at each other. And then I see a teacher walk over. And then I see the proctor, because it's been like 20 minutes now and I'm not back to the exam. So I come into the school and everybody starts to yell. And the teacher's yelling at me because I broke the glass. And the proctor's like, "Where did you go?" And I'm yelling at the teacher, "I went to lock the car door." And then the proctor's saying, "Well, I told her she could go lock the car door." And the teacher's saying, "Well, you can't leave in the middle of a test. You could have gone out there and got answers." And we're all screaming at each other, yelling at each other. And then the teacher says, "Get into the office and call your mother." So I said, "Fine." And by now I'm fired up because I'm this tough, angry high school girl, and I get in the office and I slam the door and I'm like, "I'm gonna go call my, what is it, 9? Do I dial 9? So I dial 9 and I'm calling, and I'm like, "I'm gonna freaking my mom." And my mom answers and she goes, "Hello?" And you know that moment when you're like this tough person, but then you talk to that person that you love and it just breaks down all your walls? So I'm this super tough girl and my mom answers, "Hello?" And I just melt. And the only thing I can say to my mom is, "Mom!" And she's like, "I'll be there in 2 seconds, bam." And she knocks the phone down. And I'm just, at this point, I'm just bawling because the tough girl's gone and the scared girl that just punched in her high school glass front door is crying. And like a blue blur, my mom comes screeching into Upper Darby High School in her tiny little blue Sunfire, and then comes running through the doors, which opened for her, by the way. She just busts through the front doors and goes right past me into the office, and all 90 pounds of her 5'4" Italian self, I take after my father, she runs right through the doors into the room, and bam, the door shuts, and there's just tons of screaming happening between my mom and the teacher and the proctor. And I'm just sort of pacing in front of the doors. I don't know what to do. So I sit in that chair. There's always like that chair outside the office in school where all the bad kids sit. So I sit there because that's me. I'm the bad kid. Just punch the door in my high school. And I'm just sitting there thinking, well, I failed the SATs. I'm going to get kicked out of high school. I may as well go walk down to McDonald's and apply right now. So my mom comes out and says, get in the car. And I said, okay. And I got in the car, and she starts to drive home, and I said, is there anything else? And she said, yes, you're going to go to Prendy next Saturday, and you're going to retake the SATs. And I said, is that it? She said, that's it. And that was it. Like, nothing else happened. I didn't get in trouble. I didn't get kicked out of school. I went to Prendy next Saturday. I took the SATs. I did awful, which is why I call Upper Darby High School my alma mater, because that's as far as I got, folks. I made it to Delaware County, and that's pretty much it. I don't do well in tests. And to this day, I think about the fact that I did that, and I actually love Upper Darby. I go to the football games. I watch, the games, and people look to me and they say, "Is that your kid on the field?" And I go, "I don't have a kid on the field." Is it weird that I go to the games and I don't have a kid? But when I pay my taxes every year, all $5,000 of them, I think about the fact that I really did get a good education there, but I'm also pretty sure I owe them some money for the door, so I don't feel mad at all when I pay those taxes every single year. Thanks.